There are many Greek gods, so many that there's too many to even count. But the coolest of them is Poseidon, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk to you about today. First, I'm going to tell you some general information about Poseidon that everybody should know, and then I will tell you not one, but two stories that either involve Poseidon or are about him. So, the first point is some general information about Poseidon, so we'll start with that. Poseidon, the son of Kronos and Rhea, which are two titans, is the god of the sea, horses, and earthquakes. He is one of the main three big gods, and those three be Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. And those three are picked because they have the ruling of the most three sections, like Zeus is the sky, Poseidon is the water, and Hades is the underworld. And they're also the most powerful. The Poseidon, or the symbol of the Poseidon, is his trident, which is a three-pronged spear, and it is able to break or shatter any object, so therefore earthquakes. He lives in his underwater palace that he built for himself with his nymph wife, Amphitrite. In Roman mythology, his name is Neptune, and I got all of this information from the Myths of Poseidon, God of the Sea.com, the Myths of Poseidon, God of the Sea, np.nd, Wednesday, January 15th, 2015. So the first story that I'm going to talk to you about is the quarrel over the land. So in this story, Poseidon and another goddess, most of the legends don't really tell who it was, but Poseidon and that goddess wanted the same piece of land that nobody owned at the time or ruled at the time. And they brought it to the council, which is all of the gods together, and they decided to have a meeting, kind of like a court thing, but courts weren't a thing then. So at this meeting, the two gods had to give a sacrifice or make some object to give to the rest of the gods, and whichever one was more useful or cool or whatever, they would pick, and then that's who would get the land. Poseidon, he made this big, beautiful spring for all the gods to drink from. But the downfall was that it was made of salt water. This other goddess made an olive tree, which was very useful, and Poseidon didn't get the land, and that was kind of a sad thing. But those two items, the olive tree and the spring, are a symbol to the Greeks in their religion. I got this story from Poseidon, God of the Sea, Myth of Poseidon, God of the Sea. NP, I got it Wednesday, January 16th, 2015, and it was last updated June 2014. So the last story isn't really a story, but, Poseidon, he was a player. I mean, he had relations with a lot of women. There's lots of stories about them, but I'm just going to talk to you guys about three main ones that are the most famous. So first off is his relations with Tyro. He was having relations with Tyro, but Poseidon disguised himself as Tyro's lover, Oedipus, to mate with her. So he really kind of used his powers to his advantage and not really for good. Kind of shady. The second thing was with Alope. That's how you pronounce the name. They were having relations, but when Alope's father, Cercyon, found out about it, he buried his daughter alive. To save her, Poseidon, he basically turned her dead body under the ground. It turned that into a spring, so that she still lived on and was useful and whatnot. The last one, and is generally the most famous one, was with Medusa, and she's a pretty famous Greek name. Some of you may know her. Uh, Medusa and Poseidon were having relations, and they were doing relation things in one of Athena's temples, which Athena is one of the gods. And as revenge, Athena turned Medusa into this horrible, ugly monster and was never really able to have relations with another man ever again. And when the hero Perseus came along and killed her, a Pegasus sprang out of her neck, which is kind of weird. And I got those stories from Greek mythology, Poseidon.com, article Greek mythology, Poseidon, np.nd. I got it Wednesday, January 15th, 2015. So, I told you about some general information that everybody needs to know about Poseidon, and not one, but two stories or things that involve Poseidon. So now that you know a little bit about Poseidon, go and learn about the rest of the gods.